sure you guys have a ton of questions, as I did when I first met Amanda. We will be reading all of your questions, so leave them down below and we'll get around to them. Later into this, we are going to be doing a cuddling session with me, and I'm very nervous. I'm not typically a cuddler. I'm very much I will lie down, and if you are a cuddler, you feel free to cuddle, but I myself am not a huge cuddler.
Okay.
But I'm excited.
Yay!
So, you mentioned training for cuddling. What is that? All of this is so new age and kind of a different realm from my understanding. So how do you get trained in cuddling?
So on Cuddlist.com, if you want to become a professional cuddler, you can go through a really simple training that's really thorough though, and it really prepares you to hold that space for the clients. Teaches you how to communicate throughout the session, how to set up that safe space for them. Because what we're doing is creating a container for us to play around with touch, which can be risky for people. So you want to create that safe container for people to relax into, and once they relax into it, we can really create this yummy, blissful connection. The oxytocin starts flowing, and anyone who's had a yummy cuddle with a lover knows you don't really want to get up from that bliss, right? You're this is delicious. So the training helps people to tap into that healer part of them that I think we all have, but the cuddlers prepared to do this work or not.
Now you said oxytocin? That sounds
yeah.
really scientific. So there's scientific studies behind cuddling?
Yeah, they're actually starting to do that. So oxytocin is the love hormone, or what they call the cuddle hormone. So you experience it when you experience connection with somebody. When you're falling in love with someone, that's that rush of lovey, warm and fuzzies you get with somebody. And that can be created through cuddling, through just affection with another person. It takes 20 seconds of hugging for the oxytocin hormone to release.
20 seconds?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Yeah. And that's how little we are touching each other in this society. When we hug, it's this hug, this awkward pat, But if you were just to sit in that hug and take 3 deep breaths together, you would automatically release that hormone.
That's what I was thinking, because sometimes because I'm not a hugger either, you're gonna learn that I'm very kind of in my own lane. But when somebody does hug you and you feel comfortable, they hold on longer than you kind of wanted to, and then you're kind of well, I'll keep holding on. And then it just kind of feels really organic and nice.
Kind of melts into it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why I think this is so important. So who are some of your clients? Talk to us about your clients. Who comes to you for cuddling? Are they all from all walks of life?
All walks of life, all age ranges. So I host cuddle parties as well, and
about cuddling with someone who is
It's
a
a total
stranger.
stranger.
Yeah.
Yeah, so typically we have a process that we take people through from the time they fill out the form, where we'll talk on the phone, see how things flow between the client and the cuddlist, and then when they come into the space, we'll have a really good conversation about kind of like you would if you were to get a massage. That covers, what would they like to get out of the session, what types of touch do you like or not like, what are your boundaries, because some people are don't touch my knees, that's really awkward for me, or don't touch my hair or my ears, or, and so to know what they like and don't like up front really helps us to create that space where they can feel comfortable.
Yeah, because I imagine this could be very intense for some people who might have trauma with
absolutely.
certain areas, which might trigger them and kind of take them back to that part. So in a way, you were talking earlier, it is very similar to someone who is a licensed massage therapist.
Yeah, definitely. And that does happen, people that
for a cuddling session, how do you kind of break the ice?
I mean, having that conversation that that they can express their boundaries and where they're going to feel comfortable and not comfortable, and it's very client-led. So
Right.
I'm always how would you like to start the session? How does this feel for you? Always checking in and being are you, is this still enjoyable for you? Would you like to change position? So just making sure that they're comfortable and letting them lead the session, because it's really their hour of cuddles.
And I think something else that confuses a lot of people is these sessions aren't sexual.
Not at all, yeah.
Because I feel as a society we have this really rigid attachment between cuddling and sex.
Absolutely.
So are you working to break that down?
Yes, we totally are. you can receive affection and cuddles that are not infused with sexual energy. So what's the difference between a platonic cuddle and a sexual cuddle is intention. You know, where are you planning on taking that cuddle? So in our sessions, it's a very platonic energy, a very like, we're here for each other, we're supporting, we're affectionate, but we're not taking that with sexual energy. We don't have a destination. You know, this isn't like we're cuddling to get to something. It's just cuddling to cuddle. It's cuddling just to connect and be with one another.
That's so rad. It's just like in the summertime when you just like get some friends and just like drive around and listen to music, and it's like, where are we going? Who knows? But that's what it's sounding like to me.
That's exactly what it's like. Yeah, there's no destination. It's just this organic flow of like, well, what would feel good right now? And let's create that.
And so what are kind of the cuddling positions or whatever? Even saying positions, it's like it sounds so evocative of sex, but it's like, we're not talking about sex here.
Right.
But what are the most comfortable positions for most of your clients? What's kind of like the fan favorite? Big spoon, little spoon.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely in there for sure, but it's definitely not a starter position.
Absolutely. It's more like PhD, like you gotta work for it.
That's hilarious.
Graduate cuddling?
Well, I just think people aren't, you know, like a lot of people aren't just comfortable like in a full-on snuggle.
Sure.
You know? So a lot of things, some ways that I like to start sessions, like maybe with a hand massage, so where like there's affection, there's touch, but it's not like I'm all over your body. And then what a fan favorite you're asking is that, can I show you?
Yeah.
Okay. So I would have like a pillow behind me.
Okay. We're getting into it, you guys. You're seeing this live and on the stage. Do you want me to take my jacket off?
Yeah, that would probably be more comfortable.
I'm like, I feel so naked. Okay.
So fan favorite is that I sit like this, and then your back is on me.
Okay.
And you're leaning just like
Like
I'm
this?
a chair. Yeah. May I touch your arms?
Yes, absolutely.
And you can lean back. Like, are you?
Yeah, I'm like,
comfortable
yeah,
there?
I'm
You
totally
put your head
comfortable.
back if you want. There you go. So then it's just like this. Like I'm holding you.
Okay.
But it's a little bit less intense because we're not facing one another.
Absolutely, it's
so
not
it's like
intrusive
I'm
at
here, I'm holding you, but it's not like you need to look at me and feel anxiety for what is happening.
Feel anxiety is great.
Yeah.
We're just fully cuddling on live Facebook. Nothing to be stressed out about at all.
Are you feeling just a little stressed?
I am! Like, should we do some like hand massages or
I'm
something
happy
to
start
get
with that,
into
yeah.
it? I would love to see that because
Okay.
I am I don't know what to expect from this.
Okay. Would you like?
Do I have a tense energy?
No. I mean, I'm comfortable. Do you know if you like a soft touch or a deep touch?
Let's try a deep touch.
Deep touch. Okay.
And just walk us through what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm just trying to just giving affection and I love hand massages. Like to me, this is like the window
I
to my
really
soul.
like this right now.
You do.
Yeah.
It's just finding really relaxing. Like we use our hands all the time. Like pretty much all day long, we're using our hands, and we don't really acknowledge that we're using them. We don't love them up. And so, and some of my clients are construction workers or they use their hands very intensely. And so I feel like it's just a very simple way of loving them that's unexpected but simple.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
your clients, without divulging too much about them, I just think it's so interesting that people come to you for this thing that's, part of human nature, cuddling.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you see that's kind of their reasoning for coming to you? Like this common theme, they can't find it in their personal life, maybe they don't know who to reach out to.
I think we don't have enough discussion around it. So I think it's not really common for people to be like, hey, I'm feeling lonely, could you come cuddle me tonight? Would you say that to your friends?
No, because it sounds like a booty call.
Right, exactly. So that's what we're trying to shift, is that this is a very basic core need that humans have. We're mammals who enjoy touch, and we're in a society where touch is taboo.
Right.
And so, it would totally feel like a proposition if someone's like, hey, come cuddle me. But we really do just feel so much better when we're receiving that affection.
Absolutely.
And, even from our mothers or family, or
right.
It can still be really fulfilling.
Yeah, because I loved earlier, before we went live, you guys, Amanda was saying, if you look throughout the animal kingdom, mammals, monkeys, they all kind of gather together, and you think about Nat Geo, and the monkeys just picking out of each other's hair.
Right.
I mean, that would be kind of weird seeing on the streets of New York. Maybe I have seen it, to be honest.
I was going to say.
But there's this sort of communal sense of touch that we've kind of lost. So I think it's rad that you guys are breaking that down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what is something you would move on to next after a hand massage?
I usually ask the client what they would like. We try to let the client lead. So it's like, do you have any, thing you'd like to create? Like, we could lean back and I could cuddle into you. We could,
Let us know in the comments, you guys, what you want to see us do. Do any cuddling tricks? I'm game for whatever.
Okay.
As a professional cuddler, what is your favorite sense of touch?
What touch do I like to
Yes.
receive? I love anything.
Let's pause for a quick second for this
Yeah.
phone.
Sure.
Yeah. It's okay. We can take that break.
Yeah. You guys, we are going to take a quick ad break. Stay tuned for more cuddling demonstrations. We'll be right back. So, get the snow in the background.
Yeah.
Hello, you guys. Thanks so much for staying with us through that short ad break. I'm here with Amanda. She's a professional cuddler. She works for Cuddlist and also kind of operates her own cuddle parties, etc. And she's kind of walking me through what it means to be touched, to be cuddled, what her clients come to her seeking. We're just having a gnarly time. So, next position.
Yeah.
What, I don't know. I'm obviously like very timid when it comes to cuddling, I've learned. So what's another sort of like,
Would you be open to putting your head in my lap? With a pillow.
see, I don't want to mess up my hair. I'm also
Totally understand.
Can we, like, do people just do
Yeah,
this?
oh, totally. Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love having a pillow. So I love
Can I rub
cuddling.
your arm?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
So I love cuddling with things like pillows. What does that say about me?
I used to do the same completely.
know?
I still do actually. Yeah, I think it's just 'cause it's so cushy and you feel so like held in like a cloud, right?
Yeah, and you can like totally just like embrace it and wrap around it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So how did you get into cuddling?
Well, a couple of years ago, I realized that I was leaving a marriage, and I realized how much, like, how affectionless it was, and how much that was a need of mine. And so many people are in marriages where one person is totally, like, loves to cuddle. To work in the community of cuddle monsters.
Cuddle monsters. Is that a
Yes.
professional term?
That's what I call them, because yeah, we're just totally like wanting the cuddles all the time, you know. Once you kind of find that community, you're like, oh, I could totally use cuddles right now. It just solves all problems.
Absolutely. So are there any other types of philosophy or physical healing that you try to bring into your cuddling sessions?
So I'm a Reiki practitioner, so sometimes I'll infuse some Reiki energy.
Can you explain that? What's that? What's Reiki?
It's
like a 30-second thing, or do you really have to get into it?
I
hate
would
to put you
probably
on
get
the
into
spot.
it. Yeah,
Okay.
harder to do live.
Okay.
I mean, just it wouldn't be harder. It'd just kind of be boring.
Because I have taken a few quizzes on the internet, and
Okay.
I think my throat chakra is like overexerted.
Okay.
I don't know. But anyways,
This makes sense in the work that you do.
I know, right? I'm a talker. Surprise, guys. If you are just tuning in, I'm sure you're getting an amazing visual. I'm here with Amanda. She is a professional cuddler.
Places that I may or may not like to be touched. But the obvious are like anywhere that there's underwear is an unacceptable place.
Exactly.
We don't put hands under clothes, and so it's just at least 3 conversations before the session starts. And then how we communicate throughout the session is that we promise each other we will communicate if we're uncomfortable. So the promise is that I'll say like, oh, I'm uncomfortable with this, can we change positions, or I'm uncomfortable with that touch or whatever, and getting the client to agree to the same. So we're both in consent about what's going on at all times.
Absolutely. I would imagine consent would have to be a major.
There's like modules. So there's
Okay.
you learn how to set up the space and how to set up the container for the cuddle session. You learn how to communicate throughout the cuddle session, how to hold your own boundaries.
Sure.
You watch a documentary about cuddling and professional cuddling. You learn how to get like a client agreement, like a legal client agreement, and it just really helps you set up your business so that you can be successful and so that you are well prepared for your clientele.
Absolutely. And how do you set up your space? Like, what's your space? Is it a bed? Cuddlers?
Yeah.
Anything about the difference between consent and I don't know. I'm still so intrigued by this kind of new world when you break apart cuddling and sex as it not being something that's done just before or after sex. It's
Right.
just like human touch is a need we have as mammals.
Mhm.
So, walking through your cuddling journey, you said you got started
Mhm.
after your marriage
Mhm.
ended. How did you kind of get started with Cuddlist?
I attended a cuddle party in New York City. Every client is totally different in what they're seeking. A lot of people are just curious. They're just like, what happens here? What can we, like, what goes on? And so and what I love to do actually is to help people find their boundaries. Because a lot of people don't really know what types of touch they like or don't like. They don't realize there is different types of touch. So like you can touch, may I example? So like you touch somebody with like a really grounding, like earthly, like massage like touch.
Yeah.
And then you can have more of like a soft, like flowing touch, or you could have like a tapping. Like there's so many different ways to touch.
Right.
And people don't really, I think, realize that, and they don't have an idea of like what do they like or not like. So we will often help them find, like we'll be like, oh, can we try this? And we'll try that for a second. Like, what do you think of that? Do you enjoy it? Is it like helping?
Take it to we are just meeting. Okay. How would you start? Like hello, I'm Hunter.
Yeah, awesome. I'd love to do that. Hi, I'm Amanda.
And what do we do now? I'm here to be cuddled.
Yeah, so I'd love to hear like what you're here for. What's your intention? What you'd like to get out of the session today?
Okay. So literally, when you say it is client led, that's the first like out
that's
of the
my
gate.
first question.
It's exactly
so just
what do you
confirming
want.
what are you here for?
Awesome.
Yeah.
And what do you see mostly? Is it more loneliness or someone like more people needing someone to speak to, or more somebody literally needing human touch and companionship?
I think it's both. Like almost all my I tell people we don't need to be ninja cuddlers. So it's not like cuddling has to be done in silence. I'm not like we need to be silent now. We are cuddling. You know, like
right.
So they'll come in and we'll chat about what's going on in their life, and we'll just kind of like have like a surface conversation to begin with. And some of them are like that's enough, and they just get into a deep like cuddle, and they just get really relaxed, and that's like we'll just kind of relax into a cuddle. And other people are like they got more that they need to share before they can get to that space, and so it's every person's different. But talking is definitely you can talk during your cuddlist session.
I love it, just like we've been doing.
Yeah.
And totally. So, what have you learned about me through our?
I have so many questions. A lot of people have been wondering, well, okay, no, actually, I'm wondering if you've, in your experience doing this, if there is like a glaring difference in temperament between people who have been in long-term relationships versus people who may not have had that ever and are seeking it.
Right, so
that's a really great question.
I come from like a long-term relationship, so I feel like if I did this, like I'd have a groove that I'm used to, you know, and I project that here.
So Mia wants to know if people who have been in relationships and know what they want from a cuddle session, just
like,
come in and want to get into the groove.
I would say there's a confidence or to people. I don't know if it's based on their relationship or just based on their life experiences, but some people are a little bit more anxious to ask for what they want.
Right.
But someone I've also had clients who've been in long-term relationships who still struggle to ask for what they want, and I have to encourage that and be like, you know, I'd love to hear what you'd like to have right now, or just really give them permission to ask, because a lot of us, you know, we use the example of